So that's the assurance I can give to the house that I will never try to become Arnav Goswami for the day. And 30 minutes will be purely dedicated to my colleagues sitting out there on the panel. Such a vast galaxy, 150 years of experience, cumulatively talking, teaching, learning, unlearning, and relearning on the context of design. So thank you, Saki. Thank you, Ira. And I would be briefly introducing my co-panelists over there. I have with me Hrridaysh Deshpande is Vice Chancellor Ajinkya D.Y. Patil University. He has been in the field of education for over 27 years. Presently, he is Vice Chancellor of Ajinkya D.Y. Patil University and Director of Ajinkya D.Y. Patil Group and Grand Port Hospital. In the past, he has been associated with the India Design Council as its consultant advisor and has served on the CII National Committee on Design. Hrridaysh is passionately committed to innovation, design, education, proficiency in business, innovation strategy, and design-driven innovation. Hrridaysh has been on many international design juries and has several innovation and design-related publications to his name. He has assisted leading companies across the range of industries. Hrridaysh is an experienced, enthusiastic, and energetic educator and innovation facilitator. He is passionately committed to innovation, design, and education, and is capable of expanding the limits of traditional thinking through the development and realization of aggressive and ambitious projects. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request you to kindly join hands to welcome Hrridaysh Deshpande on panel. Let me take you quickly to my next panel member, Anando Dutta. Anando Dutta is Dean Academics, School of Design and Innovation. Anando is a master graduate from NID, Ahmedabad. He is a practicing communication design professional for 37 years. He has diverse experience through his association with advertising agencies, publishing and media houses, design industry, multinational companies, NGOs, and design studios. As a Dean of Academics at School of Design and Innovation, he believes in sharing knowledge and experience with the students to mold them into successful entrepreneurs and responsible global citizens. Anando Dutta, let's welcome him. And then there is someone sitting on the panel who's taught Sudhir Sharma, who's taught his daughter also, and maybe few decades down, we would be watching Sudhir Sharma, Ira Sharma, and another Sharma as grandfather, daughter, and granddaughter. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Anil Sinha, Director, GLS Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. Anil Sinha spent 33 years at National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, where he chaired the Integrated Design Services, Knowledge Management Center, outreach and industry programs and projects for many years. He was also a member of NID's Governing Council and a Policy and Planning Committee. In 2016, March, Dr. Sinha took over as Director of GLS Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, where his focus is to contribute to the making of India through design, teaching, design practice, and design thinking. Dr. Sinha was also the member of jury that selected Indian rupee symbol. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly join hands to welcome Anil Sinha. And finally, we have Ms. Mudita Pasari. Ms. Mudita Pasari is an educational design strategist and academic dean at the Design Village. Working with various educational organizations, she is involved in developing pedagogical methods, models, and effective medium of awareness, action, and learning. Her ongoing research is around breaking inherited dichotomies and pushing the boundaries of what we assume is known, making space for true multidisciplinary dimensional existence. She is currently the academic dean at the design school called the Design Village. Her formal undergraduate training is in exhibition and spatial design from the National Institute of Design India, and her master's is in art and design education from Rhode Island School of Design. I invite all my friends to welcome Mudita Pasari. So very quickly taking the panel further for the discussions, and exactly the issue is, who's today's learner? Who's the today's student? We understand there is a visible gap. The way the learners are preferring to consume education and the way we academicians, we academia, delivering over there. I have my friend over there, Ira, again taking her example. The question goes to her, would she be interested in the same class that is of 90 minutes listening to a teacher using a pedagogical tool none other than PPT or a lecture? For she is a changed person for all of us. She is the one whose attention span has drastically reduced. She would focus not more than 15 to 20 minutes at one screen. She is a lady with screen, cell phone, screen, tablet, screen, phablet, screen, television, and then something further back maybe on the telephone. A limited attention span, she would prefer flexible, she would prefer digital method of learning, and she might come back to the campus any day she wants. The first revolution that happened years back, rather nearly centuries back, was Industrial Revolution, wherein it was all the concern, if the boss is there to kill an employee, he won't leave, for it was the issue of roti, kapda or makan. And then became the second revolution, which was information revolution, which my generation went through, but unfortunately that also had a demise 2008. For every information is available over there, on screen, online, and Mr. Professor Google is doing better task than we people. Sudhir just now said, learning AI from any of the websites available, web pages available. So why should a faculty be there for the third revolution generation, which is actually into social revolution? They want their own paradigms, they want their own rules. So I immediately quickly invite my colleague, Hrridaysh Deshpande. What is the change you see in the demographics, media graphics, psychographics, or for that matter, holistic profile of a student as of?
It's a very, very interesting question to begin the morning with, but I am a little bit of a classicist. So I feel that yes, all these things are changing. There are a lot of tools and things available for expression to keep you occupied. I do understand that the attention spans are going down, all of these things. But then it is for the education institutions like us as well as the others to set the agenda. I don't think it can be a very consumerist view from the point of view student. And if at all there is such a view, then they need not come to us. I mean, there is nobody going to them with an invitation that they need to come and definitely study. They can choose to study anywhere, but if they choose to study, then they choose to study as per the agenda that has been set. And why I say this? Because a lot of things, even if it is a 60-minute class, even though interestingly the 60-minute class it was an invention of an industrial engineer and not an academician. But nevertheless, it is now the norm. It could be a 120-minute class. At the same time, it is the role of the faculty to keep the class engaged with variety of activities rather than just talking. But these units are essential, because unless these units are there, things won't move forward towards the attainment of the desired learning outcomes. And those desired learning outcomes are something that we all post clear and upfront. And that's what, even if we take a student as a consumer, then they have it available to them and they can always check back with us whether the learning outcomes are being attained or not. But then that way, I think, so to answer the question in one last line is, things are changing. education by itself is not changing, and I don't think it will change. The process of education, there will be now addition of tools, methods, and all those things. These things can keep evolving, and that I am sure we must keep evolving together with the times.
So very apt and pertinent. Yeah, the core of learning, the core of education would remain same. Thank you, Hrridaysh. Over to Anando. The one who has both the expanses along corporate industry one side and teaching on the other side. How has the student's profile changed when you were a student to the one whom you are teaching?
Okay, complicated question. So taking off from where Sudhir sort of broached this subject of how whatever we learn actually has a lifespan. And I keep sort of sharing this with my team and whoever I meet, is that the responsibility we carry as design academics is to share information and mentor people whose lives and professional careers are going to last till 2075. And that is a reality. And so our responsibility is crucial. So what we transmit essentially is not so much the software of things or the technology of things alone. It's more about how do you create young minds who have this ability to imagine, ability to dream, ability to create these cultural constructs which are way beyond what we see today. So that's the one part. The other part is to answer Ira's question from last night. And we were discussing what education is, and I was telling her that I think education is passé. And that comes from my understanding, and this is, of course, part of Sanjay's expertise, is that I think behaviorally we are changing as human beings, and therefore the way in which young minds are soaking in information and what they are interpreting and responding is very different to what we did. And to your question, because now the times are different and the transaction is very different and very instant, the way in which we share information is also completely different. Which means that we as academics step back rather than intervene and participate in giving information or navigating the information. And as a design professional, one of the first things that we learn is to extract ourselves from the equation, right? So when I do a design project, and if I'm designing a pair of shoes, I'm not supposed to be doing it for myself. I'm supposed to be doing it for someone else. So therefore, I am not important in this conversation. The person who's going to wear it is. So in the learning framework, that also holds true. So my primary stakeholder actually in the backbenches are essentially the ones who should be designing and participating in creating the learning frameworks of what they wish to learn, how soon they wish to learn it, how long they would like to take this learning to, and what do they make of the learning that they have. Broadly, these were my first initial thoughts of your question. We can take it along if there is an opportunity to.
Thank you, Anando. So there comes a concept of co-creating, changing the pivot from one side to the other, and even making it truly customer-centric. Over here, let me use the word student-centric. Analji, over to you. I'm setting up just another small space. A half-life of a skill is now reduced to mere 5 years. Way back when I did my management degree, 35 years back, I would stand up and say, I am done. Now there is no game called once and done. The student wants to come back. And Sudhir was also talking, learning, another learning, another learning. Anilji, how do you see this particular situation?
Okay, the title which has been given, The Changing Landscape. I can tell you that, okay, the landscape has definitely changed. I'll take the clue from how Sudhir has started. I remember just a few years back, Sudhir told me, design is to improve your business. Today, he talked about design is a business. So there's a whole lot of change which has taken place, that design is to improve your business. Now the design itself has become a business. That's one point. Second point is I started my journey in 73. And since then, I am in this field. 33 years was in NID. But before that, I was in Patna. Okay, today, I am the director, GLS Institute of Design. But more than the directorship, I still teach. I take a lot of courses in the college. And with that, I'm directly connected with the students. And I'm so happy here. From left and right, both sides, I have my students protected and promoted and positioned by my student. So everything here is around the student, and even the student's profile have changed. When I was in NID, the people were coming from the only few cities. Today in GLSID or other institutions also, the people are coming from across the country. And not only across the country, but even sometimes from the different parts of the world. So from the local to become global, but the problem which I'm seeing is we have started losing the connect from the local. So when we are talking about the span of students' attention, if you are giving theory, they can get the theory. From where you have prepared, they also have prepared. They can also prepare from there, and they will lose the interest and the context in your. But if you are sharing your experience as a designer, as a learner, as a doer, they will all listen to you. And they will all try to understand how you have solved your problem when you faced. And because when I go to the class, and luckily NID has given me the platform and opportunity to do all kinds of projects. I have done many projects in this 33 years of time, and I don't need to actually show them any reference that, okay, this is there and this is there. This is what I did when I had this kind of problem. So student-wise, if we can take them that not as a just learner, but also as a doer, we don't need to teach them. We have to share our experience with them, allow them to share their experience, and in that process, they will learn. Because whatever you teach in the class, and when they will go into the real professional world, they have to unlearn what they have learned, and they have to relearn the things to actually solve that problem. So my way of taking into the class or dealing with a student, because I tried in a big way in the institute NID, when the faculty were coming, we all were calling our faculty by name. I tried in a big way in my institute. So Sudhir once came to the institute and said, Anil, आप अपने बच्चों को अगर ये कर दिए कि आपका नाम बुलाएंगे, बहुत आगे बढ़ेगा. बोले यार थोड़ा वो मुश्किल है, क्योंकि मुझे भी पटना से NID में आकर के फैकल्टी को नाम से बुलाना बहुत मुश्किल होता था. And there was one senior faculty who said, if you'll call me by name sir, you'll have to pay me 10 rupees. I said, okay, here is the 100 rupees. For 10 times, I am paying you the fine. Because that's a make of the different kinds of people. Whether you are calling it by sir or by name, but if you have something to share, somehow or other, you will definitely share. So have a mind to share your knowledge and your way of handling the things with the students, and you will get this. That's what.
Thank you, Anilji. That's what exactly we say, experience speaks. Over to Mudita Pasari. Mudita, as a Dean, Design Village, what exactly are the antecedents you see before developing the program? Antecedents definitely come as a cues from the students. So what are the changes you have seen over the period of time among the students, more so with respect to the expectations?
Thank you so much. So I think I would really agree with Anando here, how he was talking about the student is the larger than 50% of the contribution to a classroom. and we really have to listen to what they're saying. They might not be able to vocalize it, but essentially they're giving us cues. So I won't agree that attention span has reduced. Attention span has reduced for a lecture. If it's a conversation, they'll sit for 4 hours. So how do you engage them is what has changed. And I think, of course, from our end, we experience a very good faculty-teacher ratio. We are fairly new, so that allows us to really experiment with the pedagogical model. But our students really enjoy the fact that you give them reading material. Information is not a problem. They'll prepare. They'll turn up in class. Let it be a debate. Let it be a conversation. And I think that way, both the learners are the students and the educator themselves. And I think that's how the classroom grows for us. And that's important.
Sure. Thank you. So precisely, you said there's something more than teaching. It's conversation. Importantly, we from psychology background, we invariably have been talking for last decade or so, work-life balance. But if you see the profile of the students coming back to the campus for academics from the work field, it is work-life study. The third dimension is getting added to, because more and more new people, more and more people out there into the corporate, they want to upskill, they want to change, they want to reskill, and they're crossing beyond the sectors. They're crossing beyond that, jumping beyond the industries even. So that's important. Now, in this particular precise context, my simple thought would be what an educationist or an academician or academic institutions should do to align their strategy vis-a-vis the new age student. Hrridaysh, over to you.
You rightly said, the future of work is the race between education and technology, actually. In technology, in education, technology, education for a technology disrupted world. So in that sense, yes. And there are a lot of, so presently how we see it is, digital will have to be made the principal strategy of running an educational institution. That's we as a university are realizing. It used to be one of the parts. It was like a required thing, but we never paid attention. But it's now a central strategy. And the second is what we see is how can we use the AI and analytics for better student outcomes. That's second area that we look, and that is something that we are very, very aggressively chasing. And also we are working on how do we actually get the industry requirement or industry demand being served through the digital channels. Because these things keep changing, whereas the fundamental frameworks, at least at the undergrad level, do not change. Now, to get a marriage between these, again, digital plays a big role, and that's where I would say that eventually it will have to be the digital strategy which will have to become as central piece as the pedagogical strategy of running a university.
Thank you, Hrridaysh. Very aptly are we coming over to that particular thought. It's all on the leadership, for they have to be visionary and the growth-oriented mindset. Anando, coming down to assessment, course development, and very importantly, placing the students. What exactly you are doing at your institution at help?
Okay, this is a very complicated term, right? So I've already talked about course development. I think participation with the person who is actually wanting to learn in the creation of the learning framework is very important to start out, because the intent of learning is the key. Please note, I'm not using the word education. So these learning structures, these are responsive. These are very important for young people to actually absorb and give you the right sense of what they make of what is being presented in the studio or the classroom. One of the things that I have enjoyed is that I like to play dumb, and I think that makes sense. Is that if you walk into a classroom and say, "Acha, batao, ये क्या होता है? इससे क्या होगा?" ये कैसे जाएगा आगे, कितने में बिकेगा, क्यों हो रहा है ये, etc. And just sort of keep asking a lot of questions, and then create a culture that we were discussing in the morning about, giving them answers to which they are supposed to generate questions. I think the ability to generate questions becomes a great evaluator for their learning. Now, coming to grading and assessments, I think the key here is not so much the grading as much as the feedback. Is that what is the nature of the feedback, and what is the nature of motivation and inspiration that we bring to the table as academics? Is that, when we are appreciating somebody's work, we have the responsibility of pushing them ahead to say that, hey, you know what, you have arrived at these set of possibilities. These are great, but how do you take that to the next level? Because that next level is what all of us have been working for as designers. And we always have in our professional careers seen something which has not existed before. And that's why we enjoy the act of design, right? Which something that doesn't exist is now going to be a possibility. And for young people to actually see that possibility and imagine those possibilities as a speculative area of understanding potential outcomes, like Hrridaysh said, it becomes a great way to understand the success of a course and how we can build it further. The last thing I want to end with is that, in some ways, and I've written about this at length, is that the element of surprise is a great way to create energy in the classroom. And this energy somewhere creates the next set of magic. I think this is something that has held me in great stead, because if I introduce a certain paradigm as a course story in the first 5 minutes, I would always want to end it with or have intermediary steps in which I create some element of surprise, so that they keep generating interesting nuances along the way. So these are the two things I think I would be able to add in terms of what I do.
Thank you, Anando. As a student, a role reversal, I say, I want to take admission with you, NID. I have two issues. The first issue is, don't give me closed admission. Don't show me or tell me that I have to complete my course in 6 years or 8 years. I want to be as flexible as possible. I want to learn for a while, go back, do something with you, ma'am, do something over there with some studio. I come back, and maybe this particular thing goes till my age 60 years. The first. And the second one is, I expect my teachers over here not to tell me the score. Please don't tell me how much marks have I got. I want you to tell me very clearly what I am, how should I grow further. Over to you, sir.
I'll start with one statement that the time has come when there is a designer in everyone. Each one of us is a designer. Maybe some people professionally designer, some people the user of the design, and some people are the promoter and the appreciator of the design. I remember in 83, we had taken a task, 83 to 85, we have taken a task to promote design. Now design is promoted. Design is known by most of the people, whether they are actually designer or not, but there is a designer in him. With that, what has happened is, again, I'll try to connect it to the changing landscape. Which was there in the portrait, today it has gone into the landscape, actually the horizontal. Initially, the students were coming individually that I want to study design, so we don't have to do much of the things. We have to give them admission and promote them. And today, not only one student is coming, along with the students, his brother, sister, mother, father, the entire family is coming. So design, the importance of the design, the practice for the design, and what goes into the learning and doing the design is known by the entire family. So your task, our task as a teacher has reduced a bit. in terms of convincing and trying to inform them that how to do it. But what has happened, there are so many things which has come to disturb them from the focus. So how to bring them into the focus? That's where our role starts. And that's very, very challenging role. And I also agree with the number and all, because I remember, I know some of my students who have been failed, who have been sent out from the institute, but later they have been called to the institute as a visiting professor. So it's a number and the certificate. It's only when you are in need of that to the education and the academics. But if you want to practice, keep on practicing. You don't need to have a certificate for that. But what certificate will give you? It will give you the theoretical understanding and a framework in which you can actually work. So number is just a game. Number is not something which will prove that, okay, you are the best or you are not the best. In terms of technology, when we are talking about the technology, I also tried to learn Photoshop and this and that around 10 years back. But later I decided, नहीं यार, Photoshop सीखूंगा तो concept कहाँ से सिखाऊंगा? Concept सीखूंगा तो फिर वो हाथ का skill कहाँ से आएगा? So at many places where you will find laptop is not there, computer is not there, it doesn't mean that the designer in me has gone out from there. So can I take a paper and the pencil and draw it and show it to him? This is how you can do it. So during the corona, one term came is the hybrid. So I think the design has to get into the real, that hybrid one, where the manual skill, technological skill, conceptual skill, and executional skill all has to play their role in proper. And in design only, we have also learned about that design is a collaborative things. Let's collaborate, not only with the industry and the colleagues, can we also collaborate with the students, learn from them and teach them. And that's how we will do.
Thank you, Anilji. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, all takes the data, and the data is nothing but what exactly has happened in the past. That's what we call experience. And then on the basis of that, we project. And recently, the last report from Deloitte, 2019 rather, it said, more specifically to the industry which we are talking today, reading, writing, doing, and quality control. The skills have been there, but now these skills are very fastly getting replaced with analytical, critical, lateral thinking, and very importantly, emotional intelligence. Mudita, over to you. How you are talking these words and ingraining this into the continuous learning?
Thank you. Because we've been talking about assessment for fear of sounding like the black sheep, I will talk about how we look at assessment. So, of course, UGC and universities ask for marks. So we sort of reinvented the process for ourselves. Our students get, of course, qualitative written feedback, but also are graded on 4 parameters of courage, awareness, perseverance, and compassion. Each of them hold 25% marks. So we said, we can't give you a 80 or 100. It's about your process. So like you were saying in the beginning, it's more about, in this course, I got less courage, more perseverance. Maybe in the next one, it's the same. So over a semester, I can see a pattern and realize next semester, I have to show more courage. I go to a person and ask them, my facilitator, why have you given me less in courage? So what we have devised is a workaround to give internal grading in these 4 parameters. And I think it's really helped the students. And ideally, if I were to decide, there needs to be no grading. The students should be able to grade themselves. But unfortunately, we don't live in a system like that. And hopefully one day.
Thank you, Mudita. So the panel started with Hrridaysh, wherein we thought, and we really confounded on the fact that come what may, learning will remain learning. The philosophy and the fundamentals of learning would not change. Only the tools, technologies, the perspectives might, and definitely context would change. Thank you, each one of you. We had a limitation of time, 30 minutes, and I'm sure we have at least set the context for further discussions and thoughts. And I wish, Amen, for every thought which makes we teachers, we academicians, smart enough, open enough, proactive enough, and very, very organic enough to go back to the studios, go for internships as our students also go every time. We are there in the studio learning something over there so that we have that moral authority to talk and say, here we are and we are sounding it good. Over to Sakhi, over to Ira.